So the Regazi Custom is the Gundam equivalent to the mullet hairstyle. It's business up front and a party round back, but did I mention it's bronze tier? However, it does come with a giant space Kalashnikov. Hey, what is everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the premium Bandai Master Grade Regazi Custom. Once again, this video right here would not be possible, nor would any of these p-bandai reviews without those fantastic people over at BUYEE. So if you want to grab one of these of your own, I've put the link to BUYEE down there in the description, as well as the Amazon Japan listing where I bought this from. Anyway, on to the review. So this right here is exactly what you're going to get once you cut this out and snap it together using some of the stickers, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But first off, you might be thinking, what is this mobile suit and what is it from? And the answer is, well, nothing. So this right here is a mobile suit variation, aka just a design concept based on the Regazi that Amuro Ray piloted in the 1988 Gundam movie, Char's Counterattack. This has definitely been given a Gundam style overhaul with that Gundam type head, and according to the Gundam wiki, it's meant to fall in between the Regazi custom that we saw in that movie and the new Gundam, which we also saw in that movie. Sadly, the manual right here is as bare bones as they were back in 2001 when the standard Master Grade Regazi came out. So there is no info whatsoever on this mobile suit, so basically, there's not a lot to go on in here. However, this particular design was designed by Mika Akitaka, who did a lot of the Double Zeta, as well as Stardust memory designs, as well as all those Gundam girls that came out as Tamashii Nations figures a few years ago. So you can really see the Zeta style vibe here, especially in the head, and that wing binder section around on the back. And the name Regazi does mean Refined Gundam Zeta. Again, hence the very Zeta-y look. So first off, this isn't just a cosmetic update to the Regazi, this is a bit of a 1.5 like we would have seen with the Dwaj. So as well as what we usually get with a p-bandai release, which is the changed armor parts, the new looks, maybe new colors, we've also got some new joints in here and some new joint designs, which is definitely for the better. So I never actually built the standard Master Grade Regazi, so that means I never really took a close look at one. So I do know the joints in the torso here leading up to the arm and shoulder have been completely overhauled, as well as here in the upper leg to allow rotation, but it still has that old school ball and socket in there, so it's not the sturdiest kit around. It also does have a ball and socket in the waist here. The attachment points for the backpack are just these kind of old school hooks. So once again, it's not the sturdiest kit around. Definitely not by any means. But it isn't all bad news, as there has been some nice upgrades like the hands. These are exactly the same as what we would have seen with some of the latest gyms as well as the Jegan. So we can try those out for compatibility in a little while. But seriously, this kit's strongest features is its looks. It looks phenomenal. On giving this a quick spin, you can see that there's so many design aspects that really set this apart from the standard Master Grade Regazi. We've got some extra yellow parts in the thrusters and the sides of the legs as well as on the front. That backpack is off the charts crazy. Look at those colors. Red on purple. A little bit of a strange choice maybe, but it really does stand out. This backpack is definitely an upgrade compared to what would have been on the standard Regazi. We've now got some weaponry on the side skirting armor, and obviously the best looking aspect about this is the head. It looks so good. The new shoulders, they also look fantastic, but all in all, pretty cool. So in here we do have some stickers to make up for the lack of color accuracy in some parts. 1, 2, 3, and 4 there are all for the eyes as well as the head cameras. The next shiny green one there, 5, that is for the sight on the AK. The black ones, 6, 7, 8, and 9, those were for on these chest vents here, but I didn't want to cover up the detail. That would have been a bit of a shame, but those should be in black. This big minty green one here, that is for on this segment right here, for color correcting that from red to green. Those two semicircular red ones, those are for on the verniers here. Those are just usually in that yellow you can see right there, but that is to fix the outer sections to be red like that. That doesn't look very good at all. And those 12s there in that kind of shiny yellow are for on here, as well as the same on the other side. Of course, it is a premium Bandai kit, so that does mean Waterslide Decals. These are actually really damn nice. We've got a lot of those EFSF ones, the RGZ91. Even though this is technically the RGZ91B, there's those ones saying Refined Gundam Zeta. So does that mean that this technically is a Gundam? Anywho. And finally then we've got these awesome ones like the Londo Bell, Anaheim Electronics, Federation symbol, as well as a whole bunch of detailing and caution decals. Pretty cool. So like I mentioned before, this kit is quite heavily based on the Regazi that came out in 2001. So a lot of the parts that came from that do feel like an almost 20-year-old kit. But the new parts look fantastic. So in case you're curious as to how much of this is classic 2001 Master Grade Regazi and how much of this is new for this year, well, surprisingly, a lot of it is new. We've got 10 runners of old Regazi and 11 brand new runners for the custom. It's easy to tell them apart because the new runners have those nice cut out, easy to read runner labels, whereas the old ones have those old turbo style that are so hard to read. Just that little bit of an embossed letter, not too clear. It's also very interesting to me and worth noting that all this colorful stuff around on the back here, that purple and red, is denoted on the runners as Regazi Custom, and all this standard Regazi colors right here, the mint and the teal, that's denoted as Regazi. So why are they labeled separately? Are we going to see a Regazi 1.5 or 2.0 in future using these parts? Maybe, and that's quite similar to what we saw just a couple of weeks ago with the Dwaj. So now moving on to some size comparisons, and this is a pretty big Master Grade, so there it is beside a Jim and a Jeggin. Next up beside some Amuro Ray mobile suits, which is the Granddaddy 3.0, as well as the new Gundam Verka, missing the wing. And finally, there it is, beside some more 1/100 scale, Char's Counterattack suits. Of course, that is the Master Grade Sazabi Verka, as well as the Reborn 100 Jacked Doga. So all in all, he's big enough. So now moving straight into the accessories, and here is the Regazi Custom with everything that it comes with. So in here we get that big old Space Kalishnikov, the shield, 2 Hyper Beam Sabers, these sections here for attaching the shield onto the chest during the transformation, 2 base adapters, one is for in mobile suit mode, the other is for in the flight form, as well as those swappable style fingers. We've got 7 of them here, but these are only the ones mentioned in the instructions. We also have these ones and these ones. So that is standard beam rifle holding hands and standard beam saber holding hands. So that's pretty cool. And we also get a whole bunch of leftover parts from the kit that it's based on, including some upper legs, sides of legs, shoulder segments, lower arm segments, the old school style hands from the original, some beam saber handles, and a whole bunch of other miscellaneous parts. So as for the hands, these are those swappable style fingers that we can trace back to the absolutely iconic Jim Sniper 2, which were based on the Gundam Age hands. So in here we have a pair of fists, widespread dynamic hands, standard beam saber holding hands, but we don't have any beam sabers in here, well, not standard ones, big old beam saber holding hands, a pair of beam rifle holding hands, not for the beam rifle that came with this kit, and the only one that doesn't come as part of a pair is this right hand extended trigger finger hand, which is for using with the big old Space Kalishnikov. As I am pretty sure that these are the exact same style hands we saw with the latest Jims, let's test that out. So pop that off, pop that in, and there we go. Absolutely perfect. I love compatibility among similar scale mobile suits. This is the way it should be all of the time. So that means the Space AK is compatible with the recent Jims like the Jim Sniper here, the Jim Command Colony type, as well as the recent Master Grade Jeggin. So that is awesome. Anyway, so there is that Space Kalishnikov in all of its glory. So in gray, brown on this section here on the front. We do have a sticker there for this sight, and the magazine here can be removed just like so. So that just pops in and out just like that. I would have liked to have seen a couple of extra magazines in here, but still, it's pretty damn awesome. Next up then is the shield. This is fairly standard looking, quite plain, in the same colors right there as the mobile suit. There's the rear side once again looking a little bit dated. A lot of the detail back there is just kind of molded into that minty green outer color. Doesn't look as good as some more modern things. Up top we do have 3 of those grenades. They're just stuck on, cannot be removed. This handle down here that can rotate just like that, can tuck in like so. This little segment in here is the attachment point that just pops out like so and connects into this hole on the rear of the forearm. Simple as that right there. So there is a bit of an example of what the Regazi Custom will look like with its Space Kalishnikov and that shield in an aerial pose up on your shelf. So all in all, this thing does look quite cool. And honestly, I can't say how much I love this weapon. I cannot stress it enough. It's so awesome. So next up then, we've got the pair of Hyper Beam Sabers, which literally are big enough to eat your ramen with. They attach into those big old beam saber holding hands, and they are massive. There is some Granddaddy 3.0 for scale, so these things are huge. Pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, perfect grade size beams. When not in use, just pop off the handle, and then they chill out up here on the backpack, just like that, where they can function as beam cannons, so that is pretty cool. So speaking of those functioning as beam cannons while up there on the backpack, I realized that a lot of the time in these reviews I forget to talk about the armaments that are actually situated on the mobile suit itself. So this has quite a few of them, so I'll run through them quite quickly. So of course, like I said, those up on the backpack now are beam cannons. Right beside those, we've got 3 tube missile launchers. That's on each side. They're actually molded in the red plastic. On the sides of the head, we've got those 60mm Vulcans. These, once again, are molded in grey plastic, so they're color accurate and look really nice for something so small. Around here in the back, this section here, which can flip up as part of the transformation, we'll take a look at very soon. This, of course, is the large mega beam cannon. So this thing means business. Either side of that, we've got 2 smaller beam guns. And lastly, in the rear of both of the arms, we've got 2 2-tube grenade launchers. So all in all, even without its weapons, this thing has quite a bit on board. So next up in here, we've got a couple of base adapters. So I'm going to talk about this one first because it's for using with mobile suit mode, and this one a little while later because it's for using with the flight form. But as for this right here, this does bring up what is one of my biggest gripes with this kit right here. And that is its reliance on a lot of old style gunpla tech. This Cradle style base adapter would be one of them. This, of course, is just a standard little cradle. It slots basically either side of the leg pegs and, well, it's pretty crap. It doesn't really hold it in any sort of specific position, and it's a bit unreliable, just like a lot of the other tech in this. For example, this waist joint is just an old ball and socket style joint, so it can't hold up that heavy backpack at all. So you're gonna have to tighten that up, and that is a bit of a shame. The same goes for the fact that this has ball and socket style hip joints, so that means you're not gonna get anything more than this out of the sides. So it is very limited, and a bit loose, and a bit crappy, because of the kit that it's based on. So the last of the accessories in here are parts of the transformation to the flight form. So before we get into that, let's take a look at the articulation in mobile suit mode. So like I mentioned, the build quality of this out of the box isn't the greatest. For example, these knees, they're not the strongest, and it can droop at that point, especially because it... And that, yeah. These backpack connectors don't actually click into place, they just kind of slot into place, so they do fall out very simply like that. This, as you can see, is just a very simple hook mechanism, so if they're pushed upwards at all, they'll just fall out. So yeah, let's try this from the head down with no backpack, and we'll put the backpack on in a little bit. So as for the neck joint in this, I'm not sure if this is a new joint, I think it might be, but this has a lot going on. Look at this giggity goo right here. And look at that. That may not look the greatest, but from certain poses, you won't even notice that the neck opens up like that, but that's a lot of articulation there. So once again, there is all the way down, there is all the way up, that can rotate all the way around, like that, and there is the side to side tilt, so pretty good so far. So we have a whole lot going on in the shoulder here, which allows for this crazy range of motion. So first off, we have this section here that does move upwards like that. We also do have where the shoulder is attached there, so that extra bit of up and down. That shoulder armor moves completely independently to the shoulder joint. We have an armor flappy right here. Full rotation at the upper arm. Almost forgot the full rotation here at the shoulder. There is that bend at the elbow, so absolutely perfect right there. We've got this awesome double jointed wrist. So that is this little section in here that can move like so, as well as the standard ball joint here. Actually, this is triple jointed because we've this bend here as well, so that is impressive. Let's see, the full motion there is pretty much it folding back on itself, potentially part of the transformation. These are those age style hands, so that means we can move the thumb at this point, and there is 1 point of articulation there. At the torso, we do have an opening cockpit that slides up like so, then opens out like that. We've got that pilot figure inside. We've got a double jointed ab crunch. There it is, all the way to the front, all the way to the back, so that isn't so bad. I do recommend hitting this little ball joint here with either some paint, top coat, some super glue, something like that to tighten it up. Give that a little bit more bulk, and that will get rid of those backwards flopping woes. there is this side to side. So we do have that ball joint down here, a rocking joint inside of the torso. And as for that full rotation at the waist, yeah, that goes all the way around. Moving down to the skirting armor then, and those can move upwards like so. The whole crotch section has articulation right there. These guys are on ball joints so they can move in and out ever so slightly. The side skirts there, those are on a polycap, so we've got in and out like that. Should have full rotation as well, but the upper arm does get in the way of that, but otherwise full 360. What do you know, we do have a premium butt flap back here. So like I did mention, the waist joint here, or should I say the hip joint, is actually a ball and socket, which is a massive letdown. We do have this cool locking mechanism here, which is part of the transformation. This segment pulls out like that. That allows these joints to pull out and upwards like so, but once again, part of the transformation we'll look at later. So in the end, what we get from the legs is pretty pathetic. There is the kick up to the front, that is it. There is that kick out to the back. And finally, this is what it can do when it comes to the splits. Look at that. That is awful. There is the bend at the knee. That is pretty damn good. This knee armor section here can move out and in. Towards the front of the ankle, we do have this armor here that can move up and down. This segment can move out and in like so. There's nothing really around on the back besides this bit of plastic that likes to fall off all the time. So I would recommend gluing that in place. Oh wait, the vernier here, that can move. So I'll open this all up so you can see into this joint. It is terrible. This is a ball joint that might be a little hard to see there because of the light, but this is a ball joint pointing backwards, not downwards, so we don't get much from this at all. What we do get is blocked by the armor. If we try to rock the foot side to side, it splits the kit. So basically this part is starting to fall off now because there isn't enough space for that foot to move side to side. So it never really stands perfectly flat on the ground. It's always a little bit awkward. The back segment of the heel can move side to side as well, but there you go, see, just splitting off all that armor. This is really crap. Besides that though, there's the foot all the way down, all the way up, and the toe can point downwards like so. So onto the backpack, and this is a very old school connection. This just plugs in like so, that's it. And like I've complained about multiple times already, these guys just hook in to those segments there, just like so. Now he's back heavy. So as for the articulation around here, this does swing up just like that. There we go, that's gone already. And these guys feature a bit of up and down at these points, as well as the ability to swing out the wings and pull up the verniers. How about these guys? Oh, they can move slightly, but I'm afraid of pulling off the wings again. Anyway, now that is it for the articulation, let's move on to the transformation. So we start off by flipping both of the arms around 180 degrees. I recommend taking off the backpack first. Save yourself some headaches. Next up, we lift up the flappies on the shoulders, drop the shoulder armor down like so, turn the hands around so they're facing the back. This goes for both arms. You then bend the arms kind of the reverse direction you'd normally bend them into this kind of kink-like shape. I really can't say I'm digging this look so far. We then lift up the butt flap, unlock this little section in the waist unit, pop out those hips to the side like we saw before, then lock that back into position, down with the butt flap. Next up, we bend those knees into that kind of kink-like shape again that we always see with a lot of these Gundam flight forms. We then drop the toes down like this, push them back up inside the leg ever so slightly. Once the backpack is stuck back on, bring this large section forward to the front, spread out the wings, and seriously, if this thing falls apart one more time, I'm throwing it out the window. And it also turns out that this second base adapter is shit as well. Anyway, I'm sick of this transformation, so by the power of the God Hand! You even changed the action base for me too. Thanks. And speaking of which, this flight form will not fit on one of these old school action bases. This little segment up here is too short, so you need one of these action base 4s with the little rectangular extension base. It does say down here that it is compatible, but essentially you'd have to have it like that for it to fit. Anyway, that is it for the transformation, and honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I think this is one of the most haphazard looking flight forms I've ever seen. It's got an AK stuck to the back of its arm, a shield stuck to its chest, and what looks like just a big, separate flight form stuck onto its back. All in all, it does look kind of wonky. The fact that the backpack section is all in a completely different color scheme to the mobile suit itself does make it look even odder. It just looks like a part was taken from another kit and slapped onto this one. And the most ridiculous aspect about this is you're able to make it look upwards while it's in there. That is friggin' ridiculous. It looks like it's doing the skeleton at the Winter Olympics. That is ridiculous. So that right there is it for the review, and this is not up to par for 2019, and this is bronze tier. So just in case you don't know how my tiering system works, or you've just forgotten, silver tier means it's exactly like I would expect it to be for the particular grade and for the year that it currently is, and this is not that. So this is bronze, and something I couldn't recommend. Of course, it's not the worst thing ever. It does look quite cool. I really do love this new take on such a classic. This takes the Regazi, which is a fairly basic looking mobile suit, and makes it look quite cool. A lot of the updated parts are awesome. There's a lot more new detail, and I really do feel they should have went the entire whole 9 yards. It's all the old parts that really do let this kit down. The worst part, of course, are those ball and socket waists, the weak knees, the weak waist joint, and the backpack that always falls off. The transformation doesn't look that cool, and this could be more of a subjective thing, but that purple backpack does not make any sense at all. If they had brought some of the purple onto the mobile suit itself, it would have made it at least have some kind of consistency, but once again, that is totally subjective. But technically, this thing is a bit of a mess. And of course, the absolute champion of this kit right here is the absolutely glorious Space Kalishnikov. So in a way, it's almost worth it just for that. Anyway, as always, if you're like me and you just need to have every master grade that exists, well, you can get this through Amazon Japan, through BUYEE. That's where I got mine. Links in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews. Leave a like, it really does help out the channel. And as always, I'll see you next time.